Maybe I should do this kind of like I did yesterday, where I rolled the dice to pick random groups to share out ideas. I will just run through them all real quick. All right, so this is the dye demo sheet that we're working on. You guys just had a discussion. You were discussing trying to use science words. What's happening to the food coloring in the water in the beakers? So we had some cold water, we had some hot water, and we put a drop of green food coloring into each, and we're trying to explain why this happened. So group one, for your consensus, what did you guys come up with? Who is group one? Somebody raise your hand. Odessa. Who's with Odessa? Okay, any of you from group one wanted to share just the main idea of your explanation? Okay. Okay, let me write that down real quick. So food coloring spread faster in hot because more kinetic energy. Sweet, that looks like a science word. Well, on this would go under what did the other groups think? Okay, just quick notes there. Um, so there's a science term, kinetic energy. You guys want to fill me in on what kinetic energy is? I have no idea what that means. What is it? Yes, I know what it means. I'm sure there are plenty of people in here that don't know what it means. So can you just tell me? Okay, so kinetic energy is moving energy. Okay, kinetic means movement or energy of motion. Yep. Okay. Got a little plan here. Okay, Josh. Okay, can you tell me what you guys came up with? So this was group one. This is table 6. What'd you guys say? I mean, it doesn't have to be just Josh. Anybody from his group can help. Excellent. So particles slower in cold, and they also said that the dye particles, is that what you said? Dye particles will take longer to spread. Okay? So like I said yesterday, we always want to ask why, right? Why? So these seem to go along with each other. Group 1 said food coloring spread faster and hot because more kinetic energy, moving energy. Okay? And then table 6 said the particles are slower and cold, so that would be in agreement with what table 1 said. because they said when they're faster and hot, the dye particles will take longer to spread. So you guys in table 1, you guys said the dye will spread faster because the particles are moving faster. And table 6 said the particles in the cold will spread slower because the particles are moving slower. So why? Why does that matter? Jaden, did your group talk about why that would matter? Why would that matter maybe? Did you, first of all, let me ask you this. Did your table, was it 3? Or 2? 2 or 3? 2? Okay. So first of all, did you guys agree with did you say particles are moving? Okay. Who's with Jaden? Okay. You guys say agree with what 1 and 2 said or disagree? Okay. Did you get a why to that? Like why would that matter? Why would that spread the dye particles at different rates? Chris? Okay. So are we saying that the dye is just moving faster so it spreads out, or are we saying something else? Just I guess I'm looking for just clarity. Okay, I'm going to put this down with table 2, but it was table 1, kind of added a comment. So you said in the hotter water, the particles are expanding? More expanded? Okay. And what else did you say with that? Is that it? So the dye moves through them faster because they're more spread out. Okay. And Jerry? Oh, you got an example. Excellent. Yesterday in what? Okay. All right. So it's kind of making gaps for the dye to move freely. Okay. All right. Let me just from there on the share out. Are there any other tables that want to volunteer to add in something? Avian. It made it appear darker. So you guys were with table 7. So in the hot water, it appeared darker. Do you guys all agree with that? Okay. That's why might that be? In the cold water, initially, it was still pretty clear because the dye hadn't spread out, right? Okay. And the hot water kind of spread quickly. All right, so make sure you have this. I said have your air freshener notes out. Oh, got human fizz stuff. So I want you to add this to your air freshener notes. So this will be air freshener notes. And this portion of them will be 10, 4:30, today's date. All right. Okay. So after doing this, what can we really agree on? Okay. What can we say for sure? If we look at our consensus, just break it down to the basics. What are we saying? Jaden. Ooh, yes, I agree. That's a good one. Temperature must be important. Very good. What else we get? What else can we say? Particles mixed with other particles. If there's any disagreement when I write any of these up here, raise your hand. Okay, are we good with that? Everybody agree? What else can we say? How are they mixing? What must be true if they're mixing? Just basics. What were your explanations? What were the dye particles doing? Spreading or moving? Is that what you said? Okay, particles move. No? Somebody disagree? Anything else we can say? Okay, so these particles are moving in our models. And I think this is a good time to revisit our modeling norms. Okay? So things that we want to do every time when we model. So if you remember what I said yesterday, we're losing a lot of our points on assessments because we're not using these modeling norms. So I want to make sure we're clear on that, and I want you to make sure that you understand some of the new things that we're adding to it. So it's a process. By the end of the school year, when you guys are doing models, it's going to be a piece of cake. Right now, it's kind of a struggle. Okay? So the first thing we will always want to do is make sure there's a title. The second thing we always want to do is do a description. But what I want to really make sure we focus on with the description, because this is one of the areas we need work on, is why. Okay? Not just what. Okay? So when we make models, yes, we're going to show what happened, but we're also trying to explain, more importantly, why it happened. Okay? With this, we're going to have details, of course. And I'm going to move particles up here, okay? So when we think of the details in our models, we're thinking about the stuff too small to see. We're trying to explain why it really happened. In chemistry, we're talking about particles. And very importantly, when we draw those particles are dots only, okay? Not squares, not triangles, not stars. They're all dots. So if we want to make different particles, then what we need to do is we need to use different colors, right? Okay. We want to do labels. And on labels, I'm going to say big things. So the labels are for the things that we can actually see. So there's a couple things that we have in our models. We have the things that we can see, and we have the things that we can't see. Your labels are going to be labeling things that might not be clear as to what they are, like a beaker or something like that, depending on your ability as an artist. And a lot of times when we do these models, we want to try to get through them quickly, so we don't need to worry about making beautiful drawings and stuff like that. It might be kind of quick with just labels. This is what this means. All right. The key is for the particles. Okay? We're going to use a key for the particles. We are always going to make sure that we have multiple views. So this would be like our before, during, after. Going along with number 5, of course, we need to have color, because the color is going to tell us what the different particles are. We can tell what the different particles are because we have a key. We should make sure that it is as neat as possible, so it's not all jumbled up mess. Okay. We developed one of the new ones that I've already mentioned, but particles are dots, never anything else. Okay, we also learned about the law of conservation of mass. So we always want to pay attention to conservation of mass. So number of each type of particle should be the same in each view. Okay? Now we talked about systems, open systems, closed systems. You can have particles leaving a system. You can have particles that are entering a system, but they should still be somewhere in that view. Does that make sense? This is also another reminder to keep your number of dots easy. Don't make 50 dots. It's a lot of work. Just make a few so that you can make your point. All right? In your key, you could say that represents 50 dots if you wanted to. Sure. Okay? But in the drawings, we only have a few dots so that it's easy to picture. Okay? That's the whole point of the modeling, right? Making it easier to picture. Okay? And what else we got here? So now we're going to add our new one. Okay? So we are going to show movement of particles. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using arrows for movement. So since this is new, I'm going to elaborate a little more. Because like Jaden said, temperature is important. Okay? So you guys seem to say that if it's hotter, if the temperature is higher, the particles are moving faster. Is that correct? Do we all agree on that? Okay. So higher temp equals faster. And the way we're going to show that is by making longer arrows. Lower temps, slower, and those will have shorter arrows. Okay? And we are going to stop there with these notes.